صراطا مستقيما صراط الذين أنعمت غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
MashaAllah, yes, thank you for your beautiful recitation as well. And I would like to invite Brother Misu Kazmi to recite Hadith al-Qisa after another last salat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad.
حديث الإسلام روي عن جابر بن عبد الله الأنصاري. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. عن فاطمة الزهراء عليها السلام بنت رسول الله قال سمعت فاطمة أنها قالت دخل علي أبي رسول الله في بعض الأيام فقال السلام عليك يا فاطمة فقلت عليك السلام قال إني أجد في بدني ضعفا فقلت له أعيذك بالله يا أبت من الضعف فقال يا فاطمة ائتيني بالكساء اليماني فغطيني به فغطيته بالكساء اليماني فغطيته به وصرت أنظر إليه وإذا وجهه يطلع له كأنه البدر في ليلة التمام وكماله فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسن قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمه فقلت وعليك السلام يا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي فقال يا أمه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جدي رسول الله فقلت نعم إن جدك تحت الكساء فأقبل الحسن نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جده يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أدخل معك تحت الكساء قال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا صاحب العود قد علمت لك فدخل معه تحت الكساء فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسين قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمه فقلت عليك السلام يا ولدي ويا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي فقال لي يا أمه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جدي رسول الله فقلت نعم إن جدك وأخاك تحت الكساء فدنا الحسين نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جده والسلام عليك يا من اختاره الله أتأذن لي أن أدخل معكما تحت الكساء فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا شافع أمتي قد أذنت لك فدخل معهما تحت الكساء فأقبل عند ذلك أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب وقال السلام عليك بنت رسول الله فقلت وعليك السلام يا أبا الحسن ويا أمير المؤمنين فقال يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة أخي وابن عمي رسول الله فقلت نعم ها هو مع ولديك تحت الكساء فأقبل علي نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء قال له وعليك السلام يا أخي ويا وصي وخليفتي وصاحب لوائي قد أذنت لك فدخل علي تحت الكساء ثم أتيت نحو الكساء وقلت السلام عليك يا أبتاه يا رسول الله أتأذن يصلون معه تحت الكساء. قال وعليك السلام يا بنتي ويا بدعتي، قد أذنت لك فدخلت تحت الكساء. فلما اكتملنا جميعا تحت الكساء أخذ أبي رسول الله بطرف الكساء وعوما بيده اليمنى إلى السماء وقال اللهم إن هؤلاء أهل بيتي وخاصتي وحامتي، لحمهم لحمي ودمهم دمي، يعلمني ما يعلمهم ويحزنني ما يحزنهم. أنا حرب لمن حاربهم وسلم لمن سالمهم وعدو لمن عاداهم ومحب لمن أحبهم. إنهم مني وأنا منهم، فاجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم، وعذب عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. قال الله عز وجل يا ملائكتي ويا سكان سماواتي إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرضا مبنية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضيئة ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا في محبة هؤلاء الخمسة الذين هم تحت الكساء. فقال الأمين جبرائيل يا ربي ومن تحت الكساء؟ فقال عز وجل هم أهل بيت النبوة ومعدن الرسالة، هم فاطمة وأبوها وبعلها وبنوها. وقال جبرائيل يا ربي أتأذن لي أن أهبط إلى الأرض ليكون معهم سادسا؟ فقال الله نعم قد أذنت لك. فحبط الأمين جبرائيل وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله عن علي يقرأك السلام ويخصك بتحياتي والإكرام ويقول لك وعزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا عرضا مدحية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مدعية ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا لأجلكم ومحبتكم، وقد أذن لي أن أدخل معكم فهل تعلم لي يا رسول الله؟ فقال رسول الله وعليك السلام يا أمين وحي الله إنه نعم قد أذنت لك. فدخل جبرائيل معنا تحت الكساء فقال لأبي إن الله قد أوحى إليكم يقول إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. فقال علي لأبي يا رسول الله أخبرني ما لجلوسنا هذا تحت الكساء من الفضل عند الله. فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفي جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا إلا ونزلت عليهم الرحمة وحفت بهم الملائكة واستغفرت لهم إلى أن يتغرقوا. فقال علي عليه السلام إذا والله فزنا وفاز شيعتنا ورب الكعبة. فقال أبي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله يا علي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا وفيهم محبوب إلا وفرج الله همه ولا مغموم إلا وكشف الله همه ولا طالب حاجة إلا وقضى الله حاجته. فقال علي عليه السلام إذا والله فزنا وسعدنا وكذلك شيعتنا فازوا وسعدوا في الدنيا والآخرة ورب الكعبة.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Ahsan, thank you for your beautiful recitation. Peace and God's meaning. I would now like to request Brother Raza Zaidi to come and recite some Marfiya after la Salat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad.
بابا جان کیا میں کہوں کیا نہ کہوں رنج و علم شام غم حال سفر شام کے زندان کے ستم اپنے غم تم بھی سناؤ اپنے غم میں بھی سناؤ اپنے غم تم بھی سناؤ اپنے غم میں بھی سناؤ. بابا جان شمرنے جب مارے تماچے منہ پر پالیاں کینچی میری کرتا ہوا خون میں تر. بابا جان دیکھو ذرا نیلے ہر خسارے میرے کیا یتیموں پہ ستم کرتا ہے یوں کوئی بشر. شمر کو دیکھ کے میں خوف سے تراتی ہوں یا سجادے کے پیچھے میں چھپ جاتی ہوں. بابا اپنے غم تم بھی سناؤ اپنے غم میں بھی سناؤ. بابا جان بازو بندے سب کا بندہ میرا گلا جب رسن کھینچتی تھی دم کتا تھا ہر گاؤں میں میرا. بابا جان میں نے کیا پنجوں پہ چل کر وہ سفر درد ہوتا کچھ لاتی تھی بابا پشمہ گاتی تو زمین پر نہیں گر پاتی تھی رسی استر گردن میں پسی جاتی تھی. بابا اپنے غم تم بھی سناؤ میں بھی سناؤ. بابا جان دیکھ کے نہ کیا سن بھی نہ پاؤ گے بیان میرے رخسار پر ظالم کی حکومتی کے نشان. بابا جان تم بھی مجھے اپنے کی پہچان گے خاک بالوں میں رہوں نالوں سے اب تک حیران. صبر ہر غم پہ مگر کیسے کیا مجھ سے سنو تیرے سن میرا سفر کیسے کیا مجھ سے سنو. اپنے غم تم بھی سناؤ اپنے غم میں بھی سناؤ.
Inshallah, beautiful recitation, brother. And I would like to now request the three brothers, Hassan, Bakir and Ali, to come to the minbar after la salat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. صدائیں دیتا ہے کعبہ حسین رک جاؤ. صدائیں دیتا ہے کعبہ حسین رک جاؤ. صدائیں دیتا ہے کعبہ حسین رک نہ بدلو حج کا ارادہ، نہ بدلو حج کا ارادہ، حسین رک جاؤ، حسین رک جاؤ، صدائیں دیتا ہے کعبہ، حسین رک جاؤ، صدائیں دیتا ہے کعبہ، حسین رک جاؤ، تم اپنے جد کے مقام میں ہو بے دیار نہیں، حسین مجھ کو زمانے کا اعتبار نہیں، ہے ساتھ ثانی زہرا، ہے ساتھ ثانی زہرا، حسین رک جاؤ، حسین رک جاؤ، صدائیں دیتا ہے کعبہ، حسین رک جاؤ، صدائیں دیتا ہے کعبہ، حسین رک جاؤ، تمہارے پاؤں پکڑتی ہے سرزمین حرم، خدا کے واسطے آگے نہ اب بڑھاؤ قدم، نہ جاؤ جانب کوفہ، نہ جاؤ جانب کوفہ، حسین رک جاؤ، حسین رک جاؤ، صدائیں دیتا ہے کعبہ، حسین رک جاؤ، صدائیں دیتا ہے کعبہ، حسین رک جاؤ، کہو رباب سے بے شیر کو بھی لے آؤ، علی کی طرح یہاں پر مقیم ہو جاؤ، تمہارا بچہ ہے چھوٹا، تمہارا بچہ ہے چھوٹا، حسین رک جاؤ، حسین رک جاؤ، صدائیں دیتا ہے کعبہ، حسین رک جاؤ، محمد وعلی محمد صلی
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. MashaAllah, that was beautiful, thank you. Next I would like to invite Brother Abbas Fashuri to recite his Majilis after Allah's Salat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
There are a lot of people who are our age or younger than our age who have died just by attending the Majilis or because people didn't want them to attend Majlis. So for all those young people around the world today and in history who couldn't come to Majlis, let's do the Salat al-Fatiha for them. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ منه القائلون ولا يحصي نعمه العادون ولا يعد حقه المجتهدون، الذي لا يدركه عددهم ولا يناله غوث بقدر، الذي ليس به صفة الحد المحدود ولا نعت موجود ولا وقت معدود. وصلى الله على سيدنا مولانا حبيب الله العالمين أبو القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين ولعنة الله على القوم الظالمين من الآن إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، قال الله الحكيم في محكم كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Okay, let's see whose minds are attentive, who's got a good memory, and who's with me right now. What does reform mean? Yes, brother? Excellent. One thing was good, and then it became bad, and what you do, you go back to when it was? When it was good. You want to go back to how it was. Very good. Okay. Reforming the heart means to allow one army inside you to defeat the other army. What are those two armies that you want one to win against the other? Yes, sister. Excellent. Good helping there, Zainab, as well. Light against desires. Okay? That's the battle that's inside. Very good, sister. Okay. Imam Ali says, I stood at the gate of my heart and made sure I let nothing in except Allah. What does it mean for all of us to stand at the gate of our heart and only let God inside? What does that mean to stand at the gate of your heart, Qadabas?
It means to pay attention to your five senses and make sure you're only doing good things with all of those five senses.
Pay attention to your five senses, make sure, because the senses are the door to your heart. What you look at, hang on, I'm going to say them. Name one sense, just one of the five senses.
What you look at.
Eyes. Someone else can name just one more. Pardon me? Taste, yeah? Good. So eyes, taste, what else? Yeah? Hello? Yes, sir. Touch. Who can I remember? Is that okay? Eyes, looking, taste, touch. Alright, we'll put next to you.
Smell.
Smell. And one more. Yes, sister at the back. Pardon me?
Hearing.
Here, very good. Amazing. So, to win the battle of the heart is to control your eyes and ears and your mouth and nose and touch, to make sure you're only letting something into your heart that will help the light inside of you. And then you become light as well. But if we don't, then we allow the desires to win that battle. Okay, good. The human being is made of two things, physical and non-physical. What is the physical side of who you are? What part of you is physical? Yes, sister. Your appearance, how you look, like your body basically, right? And maybe your clothing as well? Okay, good. What part of you is not physical, you can't see it, but it's a part of who you are? Brother? Your soul. Amazing. We looked at soul. When people ask the Prophet, what's soul? He goes, we don't know that much about it, but we know a little bit about the soul. What does it mean to reform your soul? What's that one hadith we looked at, one narration, the one who something. What is that hadith which explains to us how to reform your soul? Sister, go ahead.
The one who knows themselves knows their Lord.
Exactly. If you know yourself, you know your Lord. And the more that you know who you are, the more you're going to find God. Now, before we get to today, yesterday we looked at different ways how we are all different. And that's okay. It's a beautiful thing to be different. And one way we're different is how much we like to be with people and being alone. We looked at two words, introverted, extroverted. Thinking about it, who thought that they were a bit more introverted than extroverted? Who thought they were like that? Yeah? Okay, good. And who thought they were a bit more extroverted than introverted? Remember, you can always be both, but one of them is a bit more how you feel. Who thinks I'm right in the middle or I'm not sure which one I am more? That's okay, that's natural. Okay. Then we looked at ways people learn, because we all learn differently. We have different ways of learning. Who can mention one way they think they learn that works for them? Yes, sister.
Stress.
stress learning? So when you've got like a deadline and you want to get things done, you learn like that. Good. Who else has a way that they think, well, that's how I learn and I learned about it yesterday? Who can remember? Yes, sister?
By trust learning.
Trust learning. So what does that mean, trust learning? Who do you like to listen to then?
Like my teachers or my parents.
Teachers, parents, and who, sorry? I thought you said brothers as well, right? Okay. Okay, cool. Well, a sister listens to their brother anyway. Okay, so parents, teachers, amazing. How else do we learn that we find effective? Yeah, brother. Ease learning. What's ease learning? It's when you kind of take your time and you like to do things in your own time, yeah? And that's how you learn. You don't want stress, you want all of the time. Anyone else thought there's one which they identify with that, you know, that's how I like to learn? Yeah, go ahead. Pardon me? What's scribble learning? Learn by writing things down, taking notes. What were you going to say? Same thing? Visual learning? Okay. If you just stare at it, it goes into your heart. Yes, sister, go ahead.
Teaching someone.
Teaching someone. So how come that helps you? What have you found?
Because you can teach someone and they understand it. It means you know it and you understand it.
Amazing. You teach someone, you know. Everyone else has spoken. You've not spoken. You can let me go. Go ahead. Reading, okay? Good. So that's called visual or copy when you read it and then you write it down. Or you just read it. Very good. You like reading. Go ahead, brother. Last point. Touch learning. What's touch learning? When you touch something to understand. Amazing. Okay. That's it. We'll come back. Everyone read the Salat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad for all over you. Today, I'd like to speak to all of you about a different type of reform. A different way where we can take something back to how it should have been, where sometimes it's not been working properly. By the way, is the mic okay? Can you guys hear me at the back, yeah? Yeah. It's okay? But if I go here, it gets a bit weird? No? Okay, fine, just checking. Okay, then the reform we're looking at today is reform of the mind. We live in a world today where there are so many problems with how people are thinking and how they're dealing with stress and emotion and their mental health and their mental well-being that it becomes so hard just to be happy sometimes. And the religion of Islam wants you to be happy. Your mental health is a central part of how you go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If a person's not thinking about their mental health every day and they're not thinking about how they're doing and managing their feelings and emotions, that person can't go back to God in a true and honest sense. Because I'm not happy in this world and I'm surrounded by things that are making me unhappy. So how can I enjoy worship? How can I enjoy Quran? How can I enjoy Islam and all of the amazing things if I'm not happy? And the religion of Islam wants you to be happy. You have been created with the most honor. وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. You've been made by Allah to be special. And you have to think in a special way as well. Now, in Islam, we have many du'as about when you're feeling sad, what to do. When you're feeling down, when you're feeling alone. I'm not going to go through those du'as. Rather, today I'm going to talk about what it means for us to work on our mental health and become happier and more peaceful inside. And how that's linked to the religion of Islam. Now bear something in mind. And by the way, this is for all you brothers, for all the guys listening, right? For guys, this is harder than for sisters. Because we're listening to people online, on TikTok, influencers telling us things like to be a man is to be strong all the time. And it's not to show emotion to anyone. And it's to be firm and not let anyone inside and not be vulnerable. But that's not a real man. A real man is someone who is in touch with his emotions. And he can control it. Just like a real woman is someone who can control her emotions. Now for some reason, maybe how we've been created, sisters tend to be better at knowing how they feel. But guys, we're really bad at this. If you ask someone how you're feeling, I'm alright. No, you're not alright, but you don't know how to say that you're not alright. Because we've never been taught as brothers, as guys, to explain how you're feeling. But Islam wants you to feel that way. And it wants you to be better at knowing your emotions. Okay? Now this part is for everyone. Why is it that when we are in physically unsafe places, we get so worried? But when we are in mentally unsafe places, we do nothing. I'll give you an example. If you're going near fire and you're going to get burned, you take your hands away from that fire. If you're standing near the edge of a very tall and high place, anyone who's scared of heights, by the way? Yeah? It's not easy, is it? Looking over the edge and seeing the eternal abyss of darkness. Sorry, I won't get into too quickly. But when you're standing there looking down, you get scared. You want to move back from the edge of that edge because it's scary. You're really high up. When you're not safe, you take action. But so many times we're not feeling safe inside, but we don't do anything about it.
We're around people who make us feel uncomfortable. We're in places we feel uncomfortable and we just allow ourselves to be in those places. It could be a friend in school. It could be a teacher. It could even be someone in your own family who, for example, you don't feel safe around them. Something is not right. You don't feel like you can be yourself. That's important because you're not safe then. And Islam wants you to only be in a position where you're at qalbun salim, where your heart is at peace. So we have to discuss mental health because we have to make sure we are all feeling safe in ourselves and around other people. And Imam Hussein alayhi salam shows us in many ways why it's so important to be feeling safe inside, which I'll come to later. Read the Salat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Alright, question time. You guys listening, inshallah? I can see by your faces if you're listening. Alright, question. When you don't feel happy or you don't feel right inside, something is not right, maybe you're not happy, you're angry, you're frustrated, you're sad, something is going on inside. What is the first thing that you do? Think about yourself when you're not happy with something or you're angry and you're having an emotional reaction to something. How do you deal with that reaction? What is usually the first thing that you find in your life that you do? Like, what do you do?
Tell somebody.
You tell somebody? Okay, you share with somebody. Good. Anyone else? Yes, brother, what do you do?
I breathe.
You breathe. How come that helps you? Like deep breaths,
Yeah,
right?
because I breathe.
Mm.
No one breathe.
Yeah. That's actually, that's written by many psychologists of breathing exercise which calms you down, right? That's amazing. Stop and breathe. I like that point a lot. Anyone else? When you're feeling like stressed out and something's not going right for you, what do you immediately turn to in your own life? Yeah, brother. Pardon me?
I also.
You take a deep breaths, like deep breaths, right? Big in through your nose, out through your mouth. Very good. Sisters, any ideas? That if you're struggling with something, what is like your instinct or anything that you find yourself going to help you deal with that difficulty? Yes, sister?
I just tell my mother.
You tell your mother, you tell your family? Okay, very good, very good. Let me go through some suggestions, I'll come to you there. Some suggestions which can help you when you're dealing with difficulty. Number one, everyone has an internal dialogue inside you where you are almost like you're speaking to yourself. Not like a person going around having a full-on conversation, but you know that voice in your mind, which is your true voice? That is an internal dialogue that you have. When you speak to yourself, we have to be better at asking ourselves what's wrong. Because so often, I don't even know what's bothering me. And no one's asked me, but why didn't I ask myself? So you stop and ask yourself, I know I'm feeling this way, I'm feeling so angry, I'm feeling so sad, I feel like crying, I feel it's so much for me, but stop for a second. Ask yourself, am I okay? Like, what's bothering me? If you saw a friend of yours who was crying, surely you say to them, what's the matter, are you okay? If you saw a friend of yours who was feeling down, you say, are you alright? You'd ask them because you're kind to them. But why aren't we kind to ourselves and ask ourselves, am I okay? So the first thing to do is stop and ask yourself, am I okay? What's bothering me? What's harming me? Why am I in this difficulty? The next thing to do is to try and find the place on your body where you're feeling uncomfortable. Okay? Let's say you're feeling very anxious. Sometimes you feel it in your chest. You feel like, I'm really anxious about something, and you feel it in your chest. Sometimes you feel it in your neck. If you're feeling very angry, you feel it sometimes behind your eyes. Okay? So step 2 is find out on your body, where am I actually feeling this uncomfortableness? And ask yourself, what is the name of this emotion? So for example, if you're feeling in your chest, say, you know what, maybe I'm anxious. If you're feeling in the back of your head, maybe I am feeling a bit depressed about something. If I'm feeling frustrated, my body just can't stop shaking, it's in my arms and legs. Okay, I'm feeling frustrated. Give a name to the feeling your body is going through. Okay? So what's number 1? Ask yourself, am I okay? Number 2, find on your body that you are on, where is the thing that I'm feeling uncomfortable? Where's it coming from in my body? Number 3, give it a name. So try and find the exact emotion you're going through. Am I feeling sad? Am I feeling despondent? Am I feeling upset? Am I feeling angry? Am I feeling frustrated? Give a name to that feeling. Because you've got to know how you're feeling to keep moving on. Okay. The next step then is to sit with that uncomfortable feeling. Now I know you're thinking, hold on a second, if you're not feeling happy, go to your parents, go to your family, go to someone. But that doesn't come immediately. Number one, you should be able to just sit alone with that feeling, even for a second. Because what happens if you get angry and your mum's not around with you? What if you're at school, or you're at university, or you're at work? What are you going to do then if you're feeling uncomfortable? Sitting with an uncomfortable feeling means I'm just going to sit here and I'm just going to feel what it's like to be in that situation and not react. So if I'm feeling sad and I just want to open my eyes and just cry and let it all out, just sit with that feeling for a second. Don't act on it, don't do something. Because something that we do in our culture is we immediately look for something to just let go of that feeling. For example, I'm feeling angry, let me distract myself and go watch TV. I'm feeling sad, let me just, I don't know, go on my phone and start scrolling and watch things that make me feel worse sometimes. I'm feeling happy, let me tell everyone how I feel and let them feel bad about how I feel. Before we react, we should just stop and sit with that feeling on our own. Once we've sat with it, it will feel better to deal with that feeling. Okay? Step one, ask yourself, why am I feeling this? What's going on inside me? Am I okay? Step two, find it in your body how you're feeling. Step three, give a name to the emotion you're going through while you're feeling that way. Step four, sit down on your own with that feeling. Now you might sit for a minute, you might sit for an hour. Don't sit too long because it's not good to be alone with your emotions and not do anything with them for that long. And neither should you immediately just want, okay, I'm not feeling good, I'm just going to go out. Because then you're going to have all those feelings inside of you going to build up and build up and build up, and one day you're just going to lash out at someone who didn't deserve it just because you didn't deal with your emotions correctly. Okay, once you've done that, now you have to ask yourself, now that I've sat with the feeling, what am I going to do to let go of it? Okay, it's inside me, I can feel it in my hands, in my body, in my mind, in my heart. There's something here I've got to let go. But how do I let it out? Now, I could fight with someone, I could get angry with someone, I could become really upset and just cry all day, and that might make me feel better for a little bit of time. But I'm not actually dealing with the thing that made me upset. I'm just releasing for the sake of releasing. I have to ask myself, honestly, you know this feeling I've got, how do I let it out? One thing that's really important is asking yourself, was there a trigger that made me feel like this? Who knows what a trigger is, by the way? What's a trigger? Anyone heard this word before? You might help me out if you know what it is. What's a trigger? Anyone? Yes, sister?
It's when something happens that makes something else, makes something else also, like, a problem also like that.
Yeah, something happens and it makes it a problem for you, yeah? Very good. Anyone else can tell what triggers? Yes, sister?
It stimulates like a feeling or emotion in you.
Something which gives you a feeling or emotion. Very good. Yeah, brother, what's a trigger?
It's like when something happens.
Yeah. A trigger, something that can trigger your emotions quickly, can be anything. It could be when someone shows a certain emotion, that could trigger you. If someone represents a certain idea you don't like, that can trigger you. If you're watching a program and someone does something you think is wrong, that can trigger you. Family can trigger you sometimes. It happens. Mom and dad does something, and for some reason you can't control yourself and you become really emotional about something because they did one thing that triggered you. It's very normal. A trigger can be anything. Some people get triggered by other friends that, you know, my friend does something and that thing really triggers me. I don't like it. It really puts me on the edge. That's a trigger. We should know to ourselves what triggered me. Once you know what your trigger is, and you know what made you upset, and you know why you're upset, now you're able to do things that make you feel better and deal with the emotion. I advise all of you to do something. Everyone, I advise you in your life to do this one thing. Write for yourself a list. Write a list either mentally or on your phone, or write it down somewhere, of things you can do which make you feel safe and comfortable. That if you feel bad, you know you have these 1, 2, 3 things that you'll feel okay with. It could be going to a certain place, which makes you feel at peace, like going into nature. It could be talking to a certain person that always calms you. I'm going to call that person and I'm going to share with them. It could be a family or it could be your parents. I'm going to read a book, I'm going to listen to a certain sound, I'm going to go to a place, I'm going to do something. And think to yourself, in my life, where are those places I feel most happy and at peace? And that is your place of safety. And you find that place when you're feeling uncomfortable. Okay. Any questions so far about that? Any questions? So what do you do if you're feeling unhappy? First you ask who? You ask yourself. Once you ask yourself how you're feeling, what do you look on your body? You look for where is the place you're feeling uncomfortable. You look for it in your body. Then you give it a name. What emotion am I going through? Once you've got a name to it, then you ask yourself, what triggered this in me? And you sit with that feeling for some time. Once you sit with it, you ask yourself, what are those things I can always go to that make me feel better in my life? A place, a feeling, a sound, a book, something that I feel safe in. Okay. Any questions about that so far? Are we all good?
Yeah.
Alright, now I'd like to go through a few situations and ask you, how would you react on that situation? Okay? I want to know, if you're dealing with it, what would you do? Number one, let's say, for example, are you guys all with me, inshallah? Are you with me? Yeah? Okay, number one, let's say you're feeling lonely. I'm feeling alone, and I'm feeling that I don't have anyone around me, and I'm feeling that I'm all alone in this giant big universe. There's just me, and I'm at home, and there's no one around me, and I feel alone. What can we do to deal with that feeling? Go on guys, it's your turn. What can we do? You're feeling alone. How do you deal with that feeling of loneliness? And you know what, hands down everyone, think about it for a second, and I'm going to ask you in about 30 seconds. If you're feeling lonely, what can you do to deal with that feeling of loneliness? Alright, cool, that's enough time. So, hands up, what can we do to deal with this feeling of loneliness? What do we think once we've got it? Yes, brother? Coming to a Majilis. How come Majilis helps with loneliness? Why is that? You get lectures, but what else do you get as well? You get people around you, family. Good, coming to Majilis. Amazing. Brother, what else can you do to deal with loneliness?
If you talk with someone, or either if you don't have anyone to talk with people.
Talk with?
Yourself.
Amazing. Talk to someone. Let it out and share with other people and be part of a unit. Good. Yes, sister.
Spend time with Allah.
Spend time with Allah. What's a way that is a nice way to spend time with Allah, do you think?
You could just maybe ask Him to help you on the prayers.
Talk to God after prayer because you're not so alone. Like God's not with you. Amazing. Any other ideas of when you're alone, what to do or how to deal with that feeling? Yes, brother?
So when you're alone and you're sad, you can make a list of things to make.
Make a list of things to make you feel better, just like I said before. Amazing point, young man. Yes, sister.
Think about something.
Think about something. What kind of things are nice to think about when you're feeling alone, do you think? What will make you feel better? Yes, what, do you want to help her out? Go ahead.
I start to play video games.
Playing video games, but hold on a second. Do you play single player or multiplayer?
I sometimes play multiplayer, but I sometimes play.
Sometimes when you're feeling alone a lot, multiplayer can help you feel at least marginally connected to someone else. Go ahead, Zakir.
I play Fortnite.
You play Fortnite? Who wants to play Fortnite? Okay. Quiet, please. Guys. The point is, when you feel alone, you do things to feel less alone. Okay, so I want to say to all of you, even if you feel like you are alone, you're not. You are still part of a unit. Our Holy Prophet Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is for the Holy Prophet, everyone, says that my ummah, my community is like one body. The people are like one body, all of you. You're one single body. When one part is hurt, the whole body feels pain. Okay? If you hurt your finger, you don't feel that pain just in your finger. You feel it in your body. Oh, my finger's in pain. If you've hurt your foot, your whole body is in pain because you can't move properly, but only the foot's in pain because it's a part of you. When one person is feeling alone, remember, you're not just one person. You're part of a whole body. And you need to find a way to reconnect to that body. Okay? So, going online, calling people, talking to people is very helpful. Here's the next one. When you feel guilty that I've done something wrong that I shouldn't have done, What do we do in that situation? Take yourself 30 seconds, ask yourself, how do we deal with this feeling that I'm guilty, I've done something wrong, I'm ashamed? What do you do about that feeling? Think to yourself.
Give me back.
Hey, no hands yet, don't put them out. I'll tell you to put them up. Hold on, no hands.
I'll give it back to the owner.
Alright, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Hands up, who's got something that when you're feeling guilty what to do? Amazing. Okay, sister, why don't you go first? One second. Guys, can I ask please that when someone's speaking, you listen to them because they're sharing and their opinion matters, just like everyone's opinion matters. Go ahead, sister.
So if you like affect someone, for example, you broke someone's something and now you feel guilty, maybe you will apologize to them and then make it up to them.
Amazing, you can undo what you've done. So if it's a person that you've harmed, you can undo what you did to that person. That's the best point that we could have started with. Any other ideas? Yes, young man, what about, go ahead. Bit shy. Is that sister? Sorry, I can't see. I can't see. Sorry. Yes, sister. What? Do you want to say something? What's her name?
Amira.
Amira, did you want to say something? That's the young man, isn't it? That was my fault. Sorry about that. Okay. So go ahead, sister. While listening, guys, please to each other. Go ahead, sister.
I do istighfar.
Do istighfar. Okay. This is what you've just said now are the two most important points. Anytime you've done something wrong, either you've harmed people or you've done something against God. Okay? It's called haqqullah and haqqul nas. If you do something against people, you undo what you've done. You say sorry to that person, you give back what you've taken, you make sure you do things right by them. Because when you die and go towards heaven, do you know something? You can't go into heaven until anyone who you've done something wrong to hasn't forgiven you already. That's actually in the hadith. So you're not allowed in heaven until you ask forgiveness from the people. God could forgive you for what you've done against God, but people need to forgive you for what you've done against people. But if you're feeling guilty because I didn't pray on time, or I didn't pray, or I listened to something I should have listened to, or I met someone I should have met to, then Hamza's right. You do istighfar, you go back to God. Because God's the one who can deal with those things. So if you feel guilty, two things. If it's people, address what you did with people. If it's God, do istighfar. Okay. Here's the next one that I want to go through. Have you ever felt like this? Nobody knows what I'm going through. I'm going through something right now, no one knows. My parents are trying to talk to me, but they don't know what I'm going through. My friends say hi to me, but they don't know what's going on inside. No one actually knows what I'm going through right now. What do we do to deal with that emotion that I feel like no one understands me and no one can understand me? Think to yourself for another 15-20 seconds. So the feeling is, if no one understands me, how do I deal with this feeling? Ask yourself. 10 seconds.
How do I deal with this feeling?
Alright, someone do a quick nada hazy so we can end the countdown. Who can do nada hazy? Okay, if you're feeling that way, that no one else knows what I'm going through inside and I don't like that feeling, hands up, what can we do to deal with that feeling? It's a tricky one. Yes, sister, what do you think?
Tell your mom.
Tell your mom! What a great point, Masha. Tell your mom how you're feeling. Maybe she can understand. That's actually a good point. Sometimes if you share, you realize, you know what? Actually, they could understand. I just didn't feel like sharing. That's a nice point. Go ahead, brother. What do you think? Tell people and don't think about it. Think about it. Good. Okay. Any other ideas before I give an answer? Go ahead, brother. Stay attached with Allah. Amazing. Why Allah? What's your name, brother? Pardon? Ashar, yes? Ashar. Guys, listening, please. Like I said, we should give everyone respect to share, because it's not easy to speak in a crowd about these things. And I'm so proud of you guys for trying with me. Ashar said that, if you have that feeling where no one understands me, go back to God. I'll ask all of you, why do you think God can understand you when no one else will understand you? Why do you have God? Even if there's no one left for you, why can He understand you? Go ahead. Closer than your jugular vein, so He sees everything that you're seeing. He's with you. نحن أقرب عليه من حبل الوريد. Amazing sister, go ahead.
God is all knowing.
God's all-knowing. Good. Yes, brother. God created knows more than anyone else. Amazing. But hold on a second, guys. How many times have you prayed to God and you've not heard Him answer your dua? Loads of times. You're in there doing namaz and you don't hear no answer. So how can God understand you if He doesn't even answer you? And you're down there doing namaz and you don't even hear God's voice. So how can you say that He's with you? One day, there was a man who was prostrating and doing sajda to Allah. And he's in sajda and he's praying and he's crying and crying and crying for God. Shaitan comes to him. This is the story. Shaitan comes to him and says to him, "Oh man, here you are doing your namaz. Have you ever once heard God's voice in your namaz? You're saying, God, I'm so sorry, I want this, I want that. Yeah, but did He actually ever answer you?" The man goes, "Well, no, God never actually answered my dua." So Shaitan said, "Then why are you praying to a God that doesn't even understand you? A God who doesn't even speak to you and feel like what you're going through, why would you pray to Him?" So the man says, "You know what, you're right, I'm going to stop praying now." So he stops praying. Later on, Khidr, who we have in the Quran, this is the story, comes and says to him, "Why have you stopped praying? When I came before, you were doing your namaz, you were in sajda, but you stopped. Why?" The man goes, "Listen, I was praying all night, and Iblis, Shaitan, came to me and said to me a very true point. God never answers me, so why am I going to pray to God who never answers me?" So Khidr says, "You know when you pray to God, did you pray for Him a lot?" He goes, "I prayed for Him so much." He goes, "Were you crying?" "I was crying." "Were you alone?" "I was alone. There was no one there." And Khidr says, "You know when you're prostrating to God and you're alone and you're feeling sad and you turn to God and you have that feeling that I need God, who do you think gave you that feeling if not a God? Who gave that to you? To bring you towards Him. You ask for Him, but in the fact that you're asking, there's His answer that He's with you. Every time you go towards God, who do you think is bringing you towards Him? That's your answer. The one person in your life who will never let you down and who will always be there for you is God. Because that's the only being who knows you perfectly. He knows everything you're going through. And if you ask yourself, how does He know? Because if you're feeling it, He knows that you're feeling it. Because He's the one calling you back towards Him. So, the answer to this point, that there's no one who knows what I'm going through. Number one, try share and see if people can understand. But even if they don't, God will definitely understand. And when you're talking to God in that midnight sajda, He knows how you're feeling, even if no one knows how you're feeling. Do we have time for a couple more? Do we have time for a couple more? Maybe one or two more quick ones, yeah? Alright, here's one, another one. Who gets worried about the future? That I don't know if I'm going to get to my next grade, I'm not going to pass the exam, am I going to live the next day, I don't know what's going to happen in the future, and I'm worried about tomorrow, and the day after, the day after. Okay, think to yourself for a second. How do we deal with the feeling of being worried about the future and all the bad things that could happen? Take 20, 30 seconds. Take 20, 30 seconds, bro. I'll see a lot of consultation. Alright, take about 10 more seconds. What can you do in that feeling, okay?
I will call the police. You're just entering like oh, I will come back with my face.
Hi, Daddy! I want to keep you back. You're like a warning alarm, yeah? Get me going in the warning. Okay. Right, hands down. Not yet, not yet, not yet, not yet. If you're worried about the future, what can we do to feel okay about the future? Hands up if you got any ideas. Alright, sister, you were straight up. Go ahead.
Think positive.
Pardon me?
Think positive.
Think positive, amazing. So you know you're talking to yourself, say positive things, it's going to be okay, I'm going to get through it, I'm going to pass that exam. Amazing, very good point. Go ahead, brother. Yeah, you?
I sleep.
You sleep? That's actually a good thing. Give yourself self-care and rest. Amazing. Yeah, brother. One second now. Guys, please can we be listening? Because like I mentioned, this brother's showing for the first time. Maybe he's shy. Let's let him get it out there. Go ahead, brother.
Leave your worries with Allah.
Leave your worries to God. So like talking to God and letting it go with God. I like that point. Any other ideas? Sister, go ahead.
I try to study.
Try to study. So when you're worrying about the future, doing something to help you in dealing with the future might help, right? Because sometimes we procrastinate. What's procrastination means? It's like when you've got to do something and you do everything else except that thing. And next thing you know, you've got 10 minutes left to do that one thing that you actually had 3 days but you just never did anything about it. But you're the right kind of person. You actually deal with it by doing the right kind of thing. Smashed it. Sister, go ahead.
By practicing that for a few times.
Practicing for a few times, getting used to it. That's actually called, I think it's called stress learning, which is when you put yourself in the situation in a small dose to see how it feels so you can deal with the real thing. It's actually a good technique. Go ahead, brother.
Just distract yourself with something you like.
Distract yourself with something that you like. Amazing. Good. Mohammed, go ahead.
Allah has everything planned and does everything with the best intentions. So like, even if a decision is bad, it's happened for a reason and it may have stopped you from doing something bad.
That's my favorite answer, everyone. That's my favorite answer. God might do something to you, have something for you that you don't know, like what if it's good or bad, but you trust Him that it's going to be okay. The Quran says to do with things like this. The verse says, the verse says, when you get something in life, that you receive it, and you're so happy with it, don't rejoice too much. Like, don't be proud about it. And when things don't go your way, and you're worried about things, don't become too despondent, because they could change in a second. Let me tell you one quick story about this. Like I tell a story and I'll come to you. There was a farmer in China, and he had a farm, and in this farm he had 1 child and 1 horse. Okay? That's his house. One day, his horse jumps from the fence and runs into the wild. And so, he becomes worried. And everyone comes and says to him, oh my God, you're a farmer and you've lost your horse. What's going to help you being a farmer now? You've lost the most important thing to be a farmer. Isn't that a bad thing? And he goes, maybe. Okay. The next day, that horse that jumped over comes back carrying a whole herd of wild horses into his property. So now, he had none yesterday, but now he's got the most horses in the whole valley. So all the farmers come and say to him, whoa, this is amazing news, right? You have the most horses, you're the richest of all of us. And he says, maybe. The next day he sends his son to go and tame one of these wild horses. But when his son goes with the horse, because it's a wild horse, it throws him off and his son falls and breaks his leg. And so, all the farmers come back and say, well, this is a very bad thing. Your son's broke his leg, who's going to work the farm for you? Don't you agree it's the bad news? And he says, maybe. The next day, an army is traveling through this town, looking for young men to go and fight and die on the battlefield. And when they come to his house, they see, well, if the son's broke his leg, he can't fight and die for us. So we're not going to take your son, he can live. All the farmers come back to him and say to him, well, this is good news, because your son is not going to go and fight and die. Don't you agree? And he says, maybe. Because you don't know what's coming tomorrow, you don't know if I should be so happy or so sad about today. So you leave it to Allah to deal with, because tomorrow it could change. Every time you're worried about the future, think like this: maybe. Maybe this, maybe that happened, but I trust God. And whatever He gives is right for me. The leg breaks, the leg heals. The horse runs, the horse comes back. You lose an exam, you gain friends. You lose friends, you gain money. Everything could change day by day. The way to deal with it is like this: tawakkul ala Allah. Maybe it will get better, maybe it will get worse, but I trust God. So why am I going to worry about tomorrow when I have God looking after my tomorrow? I think I'll end it here instead of going through a few more points. In life, we're going to go through many hardships that are going to affect our mind. And they're going to make us unhappy and sad, and that's life. We have to learn to do what? What's the first thing? Talk to yourself. Ask yourself, are you okay? Find that feeling on your body. Give a name of an emotion to that feeling. Like, what am I exactly feeling? Sit with that feeling on your own for just a second. and try and find out what triggered me into feeling this way, and then do something that makes you feel comfortable. Go back to that list that you make about your friends, that list that you make about things that make you feel comfortable around you. And follow the advice I've given, because no matter what you're dealing with, no matter how dark it gets in your mind, there is light there. And God's made things there for you to get better. Okay, so inshallah tomorrow we'll continue the discussion. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Alright, now we've only got a few moments left. Let's turn our minds and our hearts and our attention towards Karbala. If we can get the lights as well, and if we can focus and allow ourselves just to think about the tragedy of Karbala. Imam Hussein alayhi salam, one of his names is that he's known as Al-Gharib. Gharib means the one who's alone. Do you know why they say Hussein is alone? It's because this is that one Imam who leaves his home with so many friends and family around him. But on the day of Ashura, one by one they leave him and go and die, and he's left as the last person alive. He's alone, he's gharib. He has no one left with him. Imam Hussein has many friends who love him so much, and they adore him. But Imam has to watch each and every one of his best friends go and die in front of him. Can you imagine someone who has a best friend like your own best friend being in pain in front of you? Now imagine Imam Hussein, on one afternoon, he sees all of his closest friends leave him, and he has to go and bring back their body and carry it back to the camp. Not just one body, not just two. The narrations tell us every single person of those 72 who are killed, Imam Hussein himself brings their body back. Imagine carrying back the body of your best friend and seeing them in so much pain. On the ninth night of Ashura, many of the friends gathered in a tent, and they said, Ya Imam Hussein alayhi salam, what's going to happen tomorrow? So he said to them, if any of you want to leave me, you can, because tomorrow there's only going to be death. All of us are going to leave this world. And if any of you want to go, I allow you. In fact, he even says, Abbas, close all of the lights so it's dark. If anyone wants to go, there's no problem, they can leave me. And when they turn the light back on, not a single person has left him. Because all of those friends love Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and they will not let go of him. But when the day of Ashura comes, one by one, all his friends go and fight for him. Habib ibn Madahir, Murair, Nafi. You know, there are two of his friends who are very old. They're too old to fight. Muslim bin Awsaja and Sa'ad bin Abdullah. They're very old, and they're saying to Mom, we're really worried, we can't fight for you. We're too old to fight for you. So Imam says, don't worry, Allah will accept your shahada. So do you know what they do? When the Imam goes and prays namaz, both of them stand in front of him while he's praying. And while he's Allahu Akbar and prays his salat, they stand in front of him. Why? Because while he's praying, many enemies start firing arrows at the Imam while he's praying. So these two companions, these two close, best friends of the Imam, stand in front and they jump so they can catch the arrow in their body and it doesn't touch the Imam alayhi salam. Have you seen friends like this? That they are prepared that I will not let any arrow touch my Imam, I'd rather I die before he dies. That's a true friend. One by one, each friend fights and dies for their Imam, Habib ibn Madahir. There's one person who joins the Imam at the last possible moment. His name is Hur. And Hur is worried. The Imam, you've got so many friends supporting you, and I am your enemy. I'm the one who took water away from you. I fought against you. I didn't let you have water for your family or for your friends. But Hur decides, you know what? Maybe Imam Hussein is merciful enough and kind enough that he's going to accept me as his friend. So on the 9th day of Muharram, Hur goes with his son to Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and he says, Ya Imam, I know that I'm your enemy and I have done many bad things against you. But do you forgive me if I apologize? If I say sorry, do you take me as one of your friends? And the Imam says, Hur, no one who comes to my door is turned away. You are my friend now. And on the day of Ashura, Hur fights and Hur dies for the Imam. Each person fights and dies for the Imam. Not just those who are old, even those who are young. Children die for the Imam. I mentioned one last child we don't often hear about who dies for the Imam. After all his friends have left him, after all his family have left him, Imam Hussein is alone on the plains of Karbala fighting for his life. He's ghareeb. Everyone has left him. They say while he's fighting, Imam Hussein ﷺ falls to the ground because he's been hit with so many wounds he can't stand up anymore. While he's lying on the ground, a young child runs from the camp to him and comes and hugs him. Who is this child? It's Abdullah, the son of Imam Hassan alayhi salam. So this is Imam Hassan's youngest son. And he's saying, Ya Imam Hussein, where are all your friends? Where are all your companions? Where's my brother? Where are my cousins? Why has everyone left you? And the Imam says, oh my, do you know how old this boy is? He's like 5 or 6 years old. He's not much older than that. He says, oh my dear boy, you are with me and you are the last face I will see which is friendly towards me. They say as he says this, Shimr walks towards Imam Hussein alayhi salam and raises his sword against the Imam. This young child of 6 years old raises his arms in front of the sword saying, don't touch my uncle Hussein, he's very alone and thirsty. Shimr hits down and strikes his sword on this young boy, and the boy falls on the chest of his uncle Hussein alayhi salam. Imam Hussein, elderly people fight for him, children fight for him, but no one is more ghareeb than Imam Hussein, no one is more lonely than him on Karbala. Let's all raise our hands in dua, all of us raise your hands in dua and say, Ya Allah, for the sake of that child and all those children, let all of us grow to defend our Imam, inshallah, Ilahi Ameen. And Ya Allah, today, in the days of Muharram, we come to the Majlis, may Allah accept all of our deeds in this Majlis, Ilahi Ameen. And Ya Allah, many of us are going through many difficulties in our life, our mental health, we are not feeling well, we are not feeling happy. Ya Allah, for the sake of this Majlis, let all of us feel at peace, Ya Allah. And finally, let all of us, for the sake of this Majlis, be united and strong and together for Imam Zamana alayhi salam. Ilahi Ameen. اللهم إني أسألك بحق فاطمة وأبيها وبعد يغنيها والسر المستعوذ فيها عن سنة وعن أزواج فرجهم ماتم حسين.
Ya Zainab, Ya Zainab, Ya Zainab. Ya Zainab, Ya Zainab, Ya Zainab. Why have most of my visitors left me? Ya Zainab, why have most of my visitors left me? Ya Zainab, why have most of my visitors left me? Ya Zainab, surrounded by the for the shrine is empty. Ya Zainab, surrounded by the for the shrine is empty. Ya Zainab, where is the one who gave his right and left hand? Ya Zainab, where is the one who gave his right and left hand? Ya Zainab, where is the one who gave away his dear eye? Ya Zainab, Ya Zainab, Ya Zainab, Ya Zainab, Ya Zainab, Ya Zainab. Voices, voices, Ya Zainab, Ya Zainab, Ya Zainab, Ya Zainab, Ya Zainab, Ya Zainab. At your border standing you should see them, Ya Zainab. At your border standing you should see them, Ya Zainab. Chained to your shrine and only death can free them, Ya Zainab. So the angel of death gets near, so only the angel of death gets near them, Ya Zainab. And whoever attacks you is no angel. Ya Zainab, Ya Zainab, Ya Zainab, Ya Zainab, Ya Zainab, Ya Zainab. Voices, Ya Zainab, 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 Ya Zainab. Secrets of war they can recite stories, Ya Zainab. Lessons from Zainab in honor and glory, Ya Zainab. Lessons from Zainab in honor and glory, Ya Zainab. Hussein in Karbala echoing safety, Ya Zainab. Hussein in Karbala echoing safety, Ya Zainab. Victory after the other victory, Ya Zainab, Ya Zainab, Ya Zainab. Ya Zainab, 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 Ya Zainab. Hussein Ya Mawla, Ya Mawla, Ya Mawla. Hussein Ya Mawla, Ya Mawla, Ya Mawla. Voices Hussein Ya Mawla, Ya Mawla, Ya Mawla. 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 Voices Hussein Ya Mawla, Ya Mawla, Ya Mawla. The people blame me, the people blame me, the people hate me, the people blame me, but they can't tame me. I will always shed the tears for your head. Hussein Ya Mawla, Ya Mawla, Ya Mawla. 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 The people hate me, the people hate me, the people blame me, the people blame me, the people blame me, but they can't tame me, but they can't tame me. I will always shed that is for your head, that is for your head. Hussein Ya Mawla, Ya Mawla, Ya Mawla. 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 Abdullah's fasting, Abdullah's fasting. They show no mercy, they show no mercy. They show no respect, they show no respect. They paste this soft neck, they paste this soft neck, they paste this soft neck. Hussein Ya Mawla, Ya Mawla, Ya Mawla. 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 And as Zainab waits, and as Zainab waits for her true soulmate, for her true soulmate, as she is yearning, as she is yearning. The tents are burning, the tents are burning. Hussein Ya Mawla, Ya Mawla, Ya Mawla. Voices Ya Mawla, Ya Mawla, Ya Mawla. Hussein Ya Mawla, Ya Mawla, Ya Mawla. Hussein Ya Mawla, Ya Mawla, Ya Mawla. And as Zainab waits, and as Zainab waits for her true soulmate, for her true soulmate, as she is yearning, as she is yearning. The tents are burning, the tents are burning. Hussein Ya Mawla, Ya Mawla, Ya Mawla. 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 Salam Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Salli ala Muhammad wa Ali.
Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein.
Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein.
शबीर तेरी गुर्बत की कसम मैं लाश तेरी दफना देती शबीर तेरी गुर्बत की कसम मैं लाश तेरी दफना देती शबीर तेरी गुर्बत की कसम मैं लाश तेरी दफना देती कौसर के तुझे चीते देती ज़मज़म से तुझे नहला देती शबीर तेरी गुर्बत की कसम मैं लाश तेरी दफना देती शबीर तेरी गुर्बत की कसम मैं लाश तेरी दफना देती शबीर ये देश पराया है वरना मैं तुम्हारी मैयत पर शबीर ये देश पराया है वरना मैं तुम्हारी मैयत पर अंबार लगाती कलियों के फूलों का भी बरसा देती शबीर तेरी गुर्बत की कसम मैं लाश तेरी दफना देती शबीर तेरी गुर्बत की कसम मैं میں لاش تیری دفنا دیتی شبیر تیری غربت کی قسم میں لاش تیری دفنا دیتی اے بھائی تجھے معلوم تو ہے رسی میں بندھے تھے ہاتھ میرے اے بھائی تجھے معلوم تو ہے